Okay, so some of you may be familiar with the Facebook files. This was I'm trying to remember what year it was. It was within the past 5 years, I believe. But a whistleblower inside of Facebook came out of there with a lot of internal documentation showing basically that Facebook knew the harms that their platform was causing, and in some cases actually used their platform knowingly to target younger individuals, knowing full well what the impacts were. And so there's this concept with social media and specifically around platforms like Facebook, where it's called the hook model. And so the hook model works with first step as a trigger. And this is something like a notification or an alert or an invitation that comes in. And so this, pulls your attention in. And really when we're feeling bored or we're just looking for something to do or to occupy our mind, these triggers obviously play on that and try to pull us in. And so once that trigger happens, then we have this action. So this simple action like swiping or clicking or tapping, these are easy to perform and provide some type of immediate gratification. And then there's some type of variable reward. So not knowing what you'll find next after you do this action of clicking, tapping, or swiping, maybe you'll get a new message. Maybe you'll get new content delivered to you, or maybe you'll get something else, a new image or whatever. You're getting something else provided to you just by engaging on that platform. And then there's the investment. So this is actions like posting content or being that creator, providing something back to the platform so others can interact with you. And this cycle continues of just basically hooking you into the platform and providing this model that works to steal your attention. And I'm just as guilty of this as others, because a lot of my I'm on LinkedIn. I am trying to interact with the community and the cybersecurity community. I'm trying to provide input and guidance and talk to people and things like that. And it's the same for me. Like I pick up my phone, I look at LinkedIn, I see like, hey, has anybody reached out to me? As what's been the engagement on one of the posts that I put up there? What am I going to create next, or what am I going to post next? And it's this whole, again, cycle, and I'm not immune to it either. And everyone has different goals and things like that with how they're using those platforms. But these have been designed this way with, to put it bluntly, addiction in mind. And the Facebook files have borne that out. So here's just a comment from Alexis Spence. She's a sixth grader on why she was so desperate to overcome her parents' objections to her getting an Instagram account. And the way she put it, she said, what made it so addictive was that I just wanted to fit in with my peers. I didn't want to miss anything, because if I missed anything, then I was out of the loop. Then kids would laugh at me or make fun of me for not understanding what was going on, and I didn't want to be left out. And it's that hook model is the same as what we call FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, where there's going to be a reward if I engage, and that it works, within the social media platform, and it extends beyond that, where your peers and your friends and so forth are in that hook model, and they're pulling you into that even if you're not on the platform. So what now? Where does this take us? And before before I move into that, wanted to kind of provide a definition here because I'm going to talk more about this in a moment, but duty of care is a legal obligation that is imposed on an individual requiring adherence to a standard of reasonable care to avoid careless acts that could foreseeably harm others. And so when we talk about, and this is a legal term, but duty of care means that you're doing things in a way that are not going to cause harm to others. And this applies to companies, products where you don't make a product that is knowingly going to harm. And more on this in a moment, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands that concept as we kind of push on here. So there's 3 focus points when it comes to how do we make a difference going forward. Number 1 is changes in technology. Number 2 is alignment in parenting. And then 3 is adjustments in the environment. And starting with changes in technology, we want to start with secure and private defaults. And that leads to secure privacy defaults, age verification, secure default settings, and the ability to opt in to certain parts of the platform. And I'm talking about social media platforms or smartphones in general here. But when it comes to privacy, we want to make sure that data collection is being limited to collect only what is necessary. We want to make sure that privacy notices are easy to understand, not just for the parents, but also for the adolescents or children that are, and it sounds, silly, but they need to be put in terms that everybody can understand. If anybody's ever read an end user's agreement, when you read it, it's 40 pages long, and all you want to do is get to whatever it is that you want to get to. You're not going to read all that. But we need to make sure that things about, especially adolescents, children's privacy, that it's easy to understand, easy to digest, and easy for both parents and children to understand. And then with age verification, this should be built into both the app and the device. And when you have age verification built into the device, you're able to then extend that to the app, because we know that the app is, if you ever try to get on, create an account on Facebook or another social media platform, it just asks you, are you older than 13? It's not hard to click yes. And so having devices that are that enforce age verification. In other words, the way to think about this is have a device that you have a permanent setting that cannot be changed to say this is a minor's phone, a phone for a minor, and that means that any app that is not supposed to be served up to a minor would not be able to install on that phone. So in terms of secure settings with or private settings, we want to make sure that things like geolocation and sharing, things like geolocation and sharing are set to secure defaults. Geolocation is the ability for the device or app to send location information. And for minors, you want to make sure that that setting is turned off. Same thing with sharing. So for instance, a lot of platforms by default want you to share as much as possible because that's how the platforms work. They want to, provide. So sometimes you may have apps that will automatically share certain pictures that you take or something like that. Those types of settings should be disabled by default. Additionally, we want to make sure that apps have the ability to opt in instead of opt out. And what that means is that, and we're all probably somewhat familiar to this, when you sign up for something new online, you get at the end of it, you get a checkbox that says, do you want to receive notifications from us about, XYZ? And oftentimes it used to be that those would be checked automatically. That's the automatic opt-in. Like you are automatically opt-in unless you choose to opt out. What we want to do is flip that to say that you are automatically opted out unless you choose to opt in. And so that, because again, and I know this from my cybersecurity experience, is that most people just take the defaults and move on. And same thing with setting up any kind of new technology, devices. You may just turn it on, it works the first time, you don't touch it. And that means that a lot of the settings are not set in a secure manner. And then last part here, with the duty of care, as I mentioned, is that with social media platforms, there is nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, but we're under no illusion that social media is not harming not just adolescents and children, but society. And there needs to be a duty of care by these platforms to know that what it is that they are creating, this product that they are creating, has harmful impacts on individuals. And we need to really push social media platforms to modify the way that it works to ensure that there's safety built into their platform. And so once you have this age verification in the device and app, you can then, as I mentioned, have this age appropriate content that's served up. Additionally, with secure settings, default settings, you can build in these other technologies such as biometrics, chain of trust, and blockchain, which I don't want to get into the technical details of that, but the idea there is that you are able to not just build in secure defaults, but ensure that those defaults cannot be changed. And that's important because if, for those of us that have children and adolescents, we know that they're smart. And a lot of times they're smarter than us. And so they know how to change things. They know how to access certain parts of the app or the device in ways that we weren't expecting. And not only that, but they get a lot of help from their friends. So one of them figures it out or finds a way to get around, a certain setting. They share that with all their friends.